Good evening, everyone. Let's head on into Collectively Rewilding. All right, here we are in Collectively Rewilding, and it looks like nobody else is ready to move forward with their projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is call the Planning Commission to see if they're actually going to meet next week, the day before Thanksgiving. And so I hope that this number will work. It's the most easily findable number. So here we go.
This call is being recorded. Please hold while I try to connect you.
Hello, I was wondering if your planning commission will be meeting next week since it's the day before Thanksgiving.
They will not.
Okay, so they'll meet up again the next 2 weeks after that.
Yes, December 10th.
December 10th. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Bye-bye. All right, so that takes a little bit of the pressure off, certainly. Still, getting ready is a great thing to prepare for. So with the idea of going to the Planning Commission, I'm going to be wanting to introduce the idea of the strip park that would run along this area here to the west. And so we have this here. And so this is something that I would want to have with me, but probably not bring up the first time I'm there, right? They're going to meet twice a month. And let's see, what does next month look like? So Wednesday, 2nd and 4th. So it is right before Christmas again. They'll probably only meet once then in December as well. So this holiday season, not the greatest example, but still usually twice a month. And then having that opportunity, I don't want to rush things, right? If an opportunity presents itself, sure, that's wonderful, but not trying to have this added to the agenda or anything like that, right? So dealing with that, what do I want to have as a thought process for being in that meeting, right? So what kinds of things am I going to want to think about and keep track of? So finding out if recordings are allowed, how many people attend, how many people speak, what do they talk about? How far along are they in regard to developing the land to the west? Right? They can do other things. This is city planning. It's not city planning for the area Sabrina cares about. It's city planning in general. And one of the things that I would like to find out at this meeting is what is going on with the Tree Planning Commission. Because I think that's right here. Yes, this tree advisory, right? Everything is old, really old. 2021. Let's see. They do have these tree advisory board appointments and their term end date, it looks like 2 of them this year, 2 of them in 2 years, 3 of them in 2 years. So 4 ending this year, 3 ending in 2 years. And they took office everywhere from 2022 up to August of this year. So really interesting. And I would just like to find out a little bit more about the tree advisory and did I see something about planning, tree advisory board members. So is anything going on currently with the tree advisory? Because as a subset, are there plans for removing, or let's just say replacing, we don't say removing and replacing. No, because it is a big step. Removing and replacing the less than desirable trees in city easements around town. Are there suggestions for types of replacement trees? If so. Okay. So I think that's a pretty good beginning. Let's go ahead and throw a bullet list on there. Nice. We'll take out the blank lines there. Okay, that's great. Let's throw a title on there. Let's say city planning meeting for 12, I think you said 12 and 25. Wonderful. And so that's a really good, solid start to having a way to approach these meetings with forethought, right? I don't need a tremendous amount of tasks. It just needs to be the basics that I'll want to know moving forward so that I can plan for the following meeting and try to attend at least one of these a month, so that at some point when the right moment presents itself, I'll have met people, talked to them, they'll have gotten to know me, they know I'm invested, and then I bring up the proposed strip park, right? And Jem and I rephrased it and called it the Tooele Green Infrastructure Buffer Zone. And I think that's just a little bit wordy, but perhaps would actually go over better than simple strip park. So that's something to play with as well. And just kind of continuing to move forward in my own thoughts and attempts at organization and things around what I would like to eventually present. It's definitely a slow process. How they meet twice a month, though, does really help to make it a realistic effort. And that's what I'm looking for. The tree advisory, on the other hand, looks like it's very much more behind the scenes, or not as public at least, or perhaps just not as active. So I think that those two things will definitely go well together. Also, starting to reach out to Parks and Recreation and, if I can get to the right paper here, trash and recycling. And so those are some good things to think over as well. Let's go ahead and run through the basics of what those would look like. Okay, so Parks and Recreation. I've got a heading here. that's where they're saying the proposal should be presented. I think going to these planning meetings is probably going to be a good possibility as well, but certainly I want to listen to the suggestions from more than one person that I've received in talking to Parks and Rec. So I would like to introduce myself and a little about Collectively Rewilding. I will introduce the proposed park. Also, ask if there are any projects that the Park and Rec Department needs volunteers for. Right? You want to show that you're not just asking for something, you're willing to participate in the things that they're doing already. You're not just looking to be heard, you're also listening, right? And then trash and recycling, that's almost even more difficult, really, because I'm approaching a company and not the city or a department within the city. However, they handle, it looks like, the trash and recycling for the city. So one, find out how the trash and recycling program works here in Tooele. Find out what is already being done with the recyclables. I don't think I'm spelling that correctly. I guess so. Okay. If there are any volunteer efforts they need assistance with, see if they are open to additional opportunities within recycling. And so one is to break up glass until it becomes different grades for different purposes, the finest being replacement sand in wetlands, lakes, streams, things like that, coasts, okay? The other being that you can look to do a lot of different things with different organic trash that people have. So there are things you can do with fruit waste. You can turn that into soaps and creams and all kinds of different things there. And then, of course, we talk about how tree trimmings can be turned into mulch. And so are they open to talking about some of these other options that are out there with recycling and repurposing? I believe that's repurposing. Let's just take a quick peek. Saving wood chips from the landfill would be recycling or repurposing or something else. Both recycling and repurposing. They're often used interchangeably, but recycling can refer to a more industrial process of turning waste into raw materials, more like what I'm talking about with the glass, Well, repurposing is the act of finding a new, different use for an item. So soap rather than throwing it away, wood chips rather than throwing it away. That's why it gets a little different. So, or a little difficult to make a distinction, right? So we were over here. Okay. No, that's not where we were any longer. This is where we were. All right, so I think those are both some pretty good beginning points for approaching these two entities on the phone. The planning meeting, I'll get to attend in person. The Parks and Rec and trash and recycling, I will be reaching out to on the phone, trying to perhaps set up a meeting in person. I'll have to flesh it out when we get together to talk about that next week, right? We've already got our plan together for the city planning meeting. That won't happen next week. It will happen 2 weeks after that. So for this coming week, unless we're working on someone else's goals, we will probably reach out to Parks and Rec, perhaps both, just to make an initial conversation, perhaps not even asking all of these questions or introducing all of these topics, but simply introducing myself and seeing if they have any projects that they need assistance with, and letting them know that I have some thoughts and some ideas that I'd love to get together with them sometime. Oh my goodness. And my voice is being ridiculous again. Still working on quitting smoking. I actually am doing really great, but yuck, it does make the throat a little unpleasant to deal with. So let's go ahead and jump into our calendar. We got a great proactive set of follow-through steps to work on as we continue. And now let's go ahead and call it for the day. Next week, we will start making some phone calls. All right, so jumping into our calendar. Next, we will have tomorrow, garden planning Q&A. That is going to be at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Mountain, 9:30 p.m. Central, and 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you all there, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Bye, everybody.